When we left off, we were at the dock in Tacoma, Washington, busy with the refit on the Cara.
Just broke 7 knots. Have about 15 plus knots of wind behind us, and we're out for a sail in Varuna. What's going on?
We're on the move today in Varuna.
Sailing in Puget Sound.
Even though Varuna's still for sale, or at the time of us making this video, Varuna's still for sale. And probably when you're watching it, hopefully not, but...
We are moving Varuna. We were down in Tacoma. For the winter, we decided that we are gonna haul her out of the water. It's a bit cheaper and less to worry about in terms of maintenance in some ways, to keep her stored out of the water. So we're headed on up to Port Townsend.
Behind us right now is Seattle proper. You can probably see all the buildings back there, the Space Needle, all that sort of stuff. And it's a beautiful, well, it's not a beautiful day out. Well, it is.
It's a beautiful day for fall.
Yeah, it feels like winter. Yeah, it's freezing cold. I'm wearing Hillary's beanie because my beanie took a swim and we had to do a little about face to
Man overboard drill, we got it back.
Fish it out of the water.
It's not freezing cold, it's like 55 degrees.
It's pretty cold. And the only people out here are ferries and barges. Less than a quarter mile.
Beginning of October, we have a beautiful breeze out of the south to push us up north into the sound.
You can probably see the snow back there covering Seattle. It's completely blanketed in white, and even up in the sky you can see it's completely white too, which means that there's snow in the sky. And yeah. Very different sailing here. We've talked about this before, but you're in these protected waters once you get into these large bays like San Francisco or Puget Sound here, or any of those protected waters outside of the ocean swells. So you don't get those really big, steep 12, 13 foot swells that you get out there, but you get them much closer together here, and that's example today. So right now we've got the wind is against the current right now still for a little bit longer. Luckily we're going with the wind, so it's not terrible, but we've had about 20 to 25 knots behind us all day today, and it's really kicked up some fetch behind us, and that means those waves are really close together.
They're small waves, but they're very close together and very, very choppy.
Yeah, so it makes it uncomfortable and it can make it a little more difficult to manage, but still heck of a lot smoother than big swells in the ocean. I'd like to think it might be a little rougher in some ways, but you're not crashing down a 14-foot wave or something like that. So there's trade-offs.
Choppy, it's not rolling side to side and surfing down waves.
So we're at bare minimums here on Varuna because it is completely emptied out. She's for sale. So we just brought along a couple of backpacks of stuff so we can do the move here. And
2-day passage up to Port Townsend. We're going to stop somewhere north of Seattle, doing about 36 miles today and then about 30 miles tomorrow is the plan.
We wanted to break the passage up because the days are shorter now and we just didn't want to really be pushing it. We had no need to push it. Thought we'd take a little a slower trip up there, and we've actually done way better than we expected. We've been doing probably averaged over 6 knots.
Oh yeah,
over 6 knots today. We've been doing probably closer to 7 knot average, and that's against the tide, the current right now.
It's small, it's half moon right now, so it's pretty small tides and not super strong currents, but in an hour or two we should have the current with us, and it'd be good to see what kind of speed we make once that happens.
Peace out. Perception. Wait, oh, that's not
That's
what
not
I
it.
wanted. Okay, there it is.
There it is. That is a cricket bar. We're pretty excited to try these. They're a local company from Vancouver, I believe, from BC. And they make protein bars made with cricket protein. Pretty tasty.
So sustainable. I guess they can farm a lot of them.
Crickets are supposed to be a really sustainable source of food, of protein. Much more sustainable than meat, traditional meat. And
for those of you that have tried cricket before, these don't taste anything like crickets.
And it tastes like peanut butter.
Yeah, that's kind of why I don't like them. I'm not a peanut butter, that's why I don't like them. Americans are their peanut butter. That's the Washington State Ferry, the Puyallup. How funny is that, since Hillary's from Puyallup? And Hillary just had a chat with them on Channel 13 because we're getting an AIS alarm. We don't have our Raspberry Pi set up or anything on Varuna anymore, but we do still have the original, which we very rarely use, but there's a Ray Marine chart plotter on here, which has all our AIS information on it, so it gives all the alarms, and obviously we're transmitting too, so they could see them. All Hillary had to do was give them a call. They answered right away, and we just said, look, if we maintain this course and heading, because they can get all that information, is that going to be fine for them, or do they want us to alter the course? They pretty obviously already knew they were probably going to go around us, and he just said, no, maintain speed and course, and we'll be good. That was an easy way. We've got another barge up here. It was a very wet night, a very wet morning, with a bit of thunder, and looks like now a little bit of blue sky. I don't know what the day's going to be like today. It was supposed to be rain most of the day, which is why we're all rugged up. Hillary's making some hot drinks, and we've got 40 miles today or 30 miles?
30.
30 miles. Port Townsend's our destination today, and haul out tomorrow morning, so we kind of got to make it. But wind's picked up a bit. We've got 10 knots right now coming out of the northeast, east-northeast, and we're sailing along at about 5.5 knots. We'll see if that keeps up. Tide is coming in right now, so we'll have a little bit of a negative tide, or a tide against us, I should say.
Some oatmeal for breakfast, something nice and warm because it's cold.
Noisy down here.
It's noisy with the engine on. Sailing's better.
Well, yeah, we've got the motor on here. We were able to sail out of the anchorage today. We had a nice, good 10 plus knots of breeze on the way out of there, and that was obviously just a little morning breeze coming out of the cove there of Kingston. Once we got out past the kind of ferry terminal and everything there, the wind died off, and we're now motoring more than motor sailing. The main is still up here, but there's not really a breeze, maybe 2 knots of breeze here. Nothing to move us along. And we're fighting an incoming tide and current as well, which is pretty light today. We're relatively mid-moon cycle, and I believe this area is probably about a 1/2 knot coming against us here on the incoming tide, and once we get up closer to our destination it'll be a little bit stronger, but it depends on what time we arrive there, I guess. We do have a little bit of sunshine peeking through, which is nice because we've seen a lot of rain on the other side here of the Sound and over Seattle. But now there's definitely some sun breaking through. I don't know if we'll get blue sky today. We've seen patches of it, but as long as we don't get really wet rain, because we want to stay dry. And we forgot our rain boots, so we're just wearing regular shoes. But obviously we're all dressed up in our offshore stuff, so staying pretty warm.
Little did we know, the lack of wind wouldn't last for long. As we rounded the point, our plans were about to be changed.
It's bright and early in the morning and we are back underway. Yesterday we stopped short. We were trying to go all the way up to Port Townsend from Kingston. It was about 30 miles. And we had a pretty rough day. The forecast was for about 10 to 15 knots of wind out of the north, so beating into it. But we had over 30 knots that we were beating into, and currents that we were dealing with and whatnot. We were trying to motor sail into it, and the engine died on us. Figured it was probably a clogged fuel filter since we had been bashing so much that really stirs up the bottom of the tank. We decided to cut it short and sail into Port Ludlow. Port Ludlow's really protected, so we could sail in, drop anchor under sail, and work on that engine. It was pretty challenging to do the fuel filter change because Varuna is like totally stripped down. We have almost nothing on here. We have a couple of basic tools, but one of the things we didn't have was some spare diesel to top up the fuel filters with once we changed it. Usually we have like a little tiny bottle of diesel that we'll top those up with. So it was pretty challenging. Took a long time to get that topped up and bleed the air out of the system, but as you can probably hear, engine's running. We're underway early here before the wind's supposed to kick up. We have about 15 miles or so up to Port Townsend.
It's a cold morning. I think it was supposed to be a few degrees above freezing. Freezing enough for us. We're trying to get going here before the sun comes up and beat the most of the wind today. It's going to be some strong north breezes again today, I think. We got our bus handed to us yesterday. Now we're off to a cold start.
As we made our way the last few miles to Port Townsend for our haul out, it really sank in that this would likely be our final time in Varuna on the water. We enjoyed the scenery from our home of almost 4 years, hoping that she would find a new owner and new adventures soon. Arriving in Port Townsend just in time, we prepared by lining Varuna backwards into the haul-out dock with the help of the friendly staff. Then it was up, up, and away.
Here goes Varuna. I don't know if you guys can see. Look at how clean that bottom is. When did we clean that before Hawaii? We did it clean, right?
Hawaii.
Did the most clean, yeah. So it's been doing pretty good here in the bottom. So she's coming out of the water. She's going to be on the hard down here in Port Townsend. We've got a broker who knows his stuff that's going to list Varuna because she is still for sale, obviously. Yeah, that's probably the last time we're going to see Varuna out of the water on our watch. On to new things, right?
If you'd like to learn more about Varuna's updated listing information, be sure to check out the link in the video description. Thank you so much for watching, and a huge thanks to our patron Adrift crew who support the continued making of these videos. If you enjoyed, we'd love a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. Until next time.
Those aren't birds. Those are giant vampire bats. This is how you twirl. If I had long hair.